Welcome back to In the Box. I'm Sandy Plashkis, and before we get down to business, let's take care of some housekeeping items first. Go down to the bottom of the screen, like, comment, and subscribe to let YouTube know that our podcast is absolutely fire. On today's episode, we talked about the hottest teams in the NBA, the Lakers clinching the first seed in the Western Conference, and also the NHL playoffs so far. Let's get right into it. Let's start by talking about the hottest teams in the NBA right now. So, on the last episode, I talked about how if the Lakers lost to the Toronto Raptors, I would wear full Raptors gear on the next two episodes. As you can tell to our listeners, I am not wearing Raptors gear. So therefore,
confident on that bet.
I have to wear it for an additional episode. I'll mark my name down. I'll wear it in the next three episodes. I just have to get some Raptors gear, which I will do. So stay tuned. My Raptors, whoa. My Lakers,
they're your Raptors now,
my
baby.
Lakers lost to the Raptors, and I haven't heard more shit in my life than I have in the last couple days. So let's just talk about that game. Looking at it from my perspective, obviously I'm biased. Obviously I want the Lakers to win. I thought the Lakers got flat out outplayed, and I can admit that openly. On the other episode, I said there is no way the Lakers get outplayed. The Lakers are going to score a ton of points. I took those three bets, which I lost. I lost the over in the game, I lost the spread, and I lost the first quarter.
Talking to Josh about that. We were curious if you even won one of them.
Not only did I lose the first one, the main bet I made, I lost the other two as well. So I am here saying that I was wrong. And I want to talk about why I think I was wrong. I think the Raptors, not only, we said this in the last episode, they are very deep.
Yep.
Very competitive team. Young guys like OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam.
I was sitting here goofing. I said OG 30 points.
I shouldn't have said OG
And I was
Anunoby.
walking away. I was like, this is going up on our page just as a short clip. I'm going to feel like an idiot. Goes out, gets 23. I don't feel bad about it.
I mean, you called 30. And you know what? Looking at it, because I don't watch a ton of Raptors games. I will watch the primetime games on ESPN or whenever they're on. But, the Lakers are my team. I undervalued the Raptors lineup. I did. I didn't think OG would come out and have over 20 points. I thought he would have under 20. I was like 30. I thought you were a psychopath for even recommending that. So looking back on it, you were right. So what made you? Do you watch a ton of Raptors games, or do you just had a feeling that day that they would go off?
I don't watch a ton of Raptors games. I do like OG whenever they get into those games where they have the big stars like LeBron or AD. Because you kind of have to flip flop, and that's when you asked me.
We talked about the
episode,
defensive matchups,
who
right?
was going to get who, and that's kind of, or I guess they put Siakam on the hot guy.
They did, and they also, OG Anunoby, that guy, him and Lowry, because I always have been a Lowry hater. Mm-hmm. Those two guys play unbelievable defense. Like they're diving after balls, they're going 100% every play, and
they can't lose to the Lakers. Like,
that's the thing is like. Yeah. The Raptors showed up. Like, they 100% showed up. Everyone, they had their bench guys were going off too. The Lakers, they didn't show up. Not only that, the LeBrons of the world, the ADs, they weren't giving 100% on every defensive possession. LeBron is notorious for that. He's a little older, year 17. He's going to go hard as shit on the offensive end, which he always does. But there's those defensive possessions where he just doesn't show up. And we saw that a lot. OG Anunoby, he had that monster dunk on that fast break. It looked like LeBron. It literally looked like an old LeBron back in the day. Like that, he played unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So looking at it now, past that game, I am not going to underestimate the Raptors again, because not only am I hearing more shit than I ever have in my life, I know that the Raptors are a great squad, and I said they were on the other pod, but
just don't call them out.
I just didn't think. Yeah, maybe it's the bubble. I don't know what it is. The Lakers have been a little sketchy. We're going to talk about their game against the Jazz and how they clinched, but I didn't feel great after that Raptors game. And we're going to see. I think we'll see the Raptors late in the season, hopefully in the finals. I think they have a great shot. I mean, watching that game, right?
What do you think about AD? He went and got 14 points in that game. Toronto is a defensive team. Where do you stack up going forward there?
I heard Frank Vogel give a press conference after the game, and they shot something like under 30% or around 30%. As a team, yeah. And like Danny Green, like that old motherfucker. I mean, we stole him from you guys. We're paying him $15 million a year, 2 years, $30 million. Like, you got to produce, man. I mean, he shot, I think he had like 5 or 6 threes in that game. I don't think he made one. I could be wrong.
I don't know if he was overly consistent when we had him either, though.
But he showed up in the big spots. Yeah. The playoffs, he was great last year with the Raptors. And I just I haven't seen like that consistency from him. Maybe he wasn't consistent.
I didn't watch him all season long, so I can't speak towards his consistency, but
I just don't think, the Lakers don't have those guys like the OG Anunobys who plays a lot, but I'm saying like outside of LeBron and AD, if LeBron goes down, I don't think the Lakers are. No. They're flirting with no playoffs, in all honesty. Because if you look at the Pelicans, they had Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis for like a couple years, and they never made the playoffs.
They couldn't do it.
The reason what I said, and I said this on the last episode, is Anthony Davis, his endurance, his durability, all that stuff, it kind of plays into factor here. Because if one of those two guys gets hurt between LeBron and AD,
it's a big deal.
We're screwed. Like the Lakers, they're first seed, but anything goes wrong with them.
Happen. Yeah.
And then on retrospect, you look at the Raptors, that team, they're way deeper. They lost Kawhi Leonard, top 3 guy in the NBA, top 5 for sure. They come back and they're nasty. They have a better record than they did last year. I know Kawhi, he load manages like more than anyone else.
He barely played, honestly, like and that's throughout the regular season.
Looking at Nick Nurse, like that's a great strategy with a guy like that. Like the Lakers don't have that luxury because they're not deep, right? Like LeBron can't just go take the odd game off. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
They lose that game. Like that's just.
And you saw it in the playoffs with Kawhi. Like he was rested the whole playoffs, and he played way more in the playoffs. Obviously,
he was hurt in the playoffs.
Yeah, but he's still. I mean,
was it the Sixers series? He actually went out, hurt his knee, and he was just limping on it throughout the entire playoffs.
And then
after that,
game 6, that
it just didn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I just think looking at the Lakers roster this year, and compared to last year, like they're not. It's a lot different, but we didn't add any young, like gritty guys who are going to go out there and give you hard minutes.
Just energy players,
We have the Kyle Kuzma. Like we traded away Josh Hart, Lonzo, pretty much our core.
Brandon Ingram, you see him going off.
Ingram's definitely the best out of that group, by the way. But looking at it from that perspective, like I was bummed originally when we let them go, but you can't knock it because AD is such a talent.
What they got back too, like you pay for that. It's going to cost you.
And I mean, AD scored 50 in like the first game, or like in the bubble. But like,
if you look back, what would you give up for a championship? And that's kind of the way you have to look at it.
Yeah, but like I'm watching that Raptors game. Like if you would have asked me last week, I would have been like, "Fuck you. We're getting the 1 seed. We're going to go to the finals. We're going to get it done this year." But looking at that Raptors game, I see teams in the West. Like let's talk about the Rockets. Like they are looking unbelievable in the bubble. Small ball lineup. Lakers, on the other hand, are playing guys like JaVale, like all these 7-footers in their lineup. LeBron's a big guy, 80's long. The Rockets put, what's that guy? Tucker. What's his first name? PJ Tucker. They put him at the 5. He's 6'7", maybe at the most.
He was like a waiver wire pickup or something. Like he was a free agent that nobody wanted like 2 years ago.
Exactly. And now he's found a spot in the Rockets. Yeah. He played even last year was great, and this year even better. Like he's playing the 5. He would guard the Anthony Davises of the world, and that's crazy to me. But what works for them is that, in transition, they're Russell Westbrook, James Harden. Those guys are going to just push the ball. Yeah. They're going to get the ball in the outlet. They're going to run. So, a team like the Rockets heating up at this time worries me. Like, we're talking hottest teams.
I don't know if you can only consider the Rockets. Like, the entire format that they're playing out for this playoffs with their 8 games, there's going to be a lot of teams that are playing playoff basketball in those 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds because they're playing for their lives right now and they're used to that going into the playoffs. I think that's going to be dangerous. I think it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, and you look at it like home court advantage, like 1 seed versus like Lakers would be celebrating this more if they had a home court advantage, right? But looking at the bubble format,
how much of an advantage is that? Yeah.
Is it even an advantage? I guess you get to play the 8 seed or whatever the bottom seed is, but like I guess that's good. But other than that, there's no real supreme advantage over other teams having home court, right?
No.
So looking at that aspect of it, you see teams like the Rockets balling right now. So I think they have a great shot. I think if they meet the Lakers in the semifinals of the West, it's going to be a fucking grind. Like, I don't see the Lakers cruising through the playoffs.
That could be fun.
I don't see the Lakers going like sweeping anyone in the playoffs. Maybe the first round at best, but after that, like
not as much as we would have figured a month ago.
But like you look at the bottom half, like teams. You're looking at the Mavericks is another example.
Yeah.
Have you seen what the Mavericks are doing? Luka Doncic last night. I'm looking at his stat line right here. 34 points and a career high 20 rebounds as a point guard. He's 21 years old. You can validate that for me, Eddie. But he is 21 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 23.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself in a first ever bubble format playoffs. The Mavs. He's basically the franchise player.
He had to grow up really quick for that team, though. Like,
he did.
21 plays like he's 28.
He does, and the thing is, he's so intelligent. He's an unreal passer. Mm-hmm. He's like LeBron. I mean, he'll get those assists.
Didn't he play professional basketball in Europe before he came over?
Yeah, so he has. But it's the same thing. Like, no matter where you play, no matter where you come from, it's the NBA. It's the premier league of basketball in the world, and there's still a ton of adjusting. But the good thing I'm looking at for a team like the Mavericks, team like the Rockets, is Luka. He's so young. He's developed over the last 2 years. He's got a real good chance to develop. So he's seasoned. This isn't his first like rodeo. You know what I mean?
No.
And he's posting numbers like 34 and 20. I don't know how many assists he had. I'm sure he had at least 8. That's insane, man. Like that is, I see a team like the Mavericks being tough to beat. Like, and they're in the bottom tier, but of the playoffs.
It just takes that one star to go off, and then you need some supporting cast, which
they have. They have Porzingis. They have
to look at Porzingis as just a supporting cast. Guy that's going out there getting 30 points on his own.
Okay. I'm not saying but he's supporting, like Anthony Davis is LeBron's supporting cast.
Yeah.
Not saying he's on the same level pretty much.
Yeah.
Luka and Porzingis are on the similar level, but like you need that second guy. You can't just go in with one guy and expect to win. Like look at LeBron last year with the Lakers. He didn't have anyone. He had the young guys. They didn't make the fucking playoffs. They were terrible.
Are LeBron and AD ever off the court at the same time?
Yes, they are, and it's never pretty. Like the plus minus, that's what I'm saying about depth. Like the Raptors, Lowry will go off. They'll bring on Freddie and Lowry will play together.
Because I know that they were saying that about the Rockets. It's Harden and Westbrook are never off at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. But they are younger guys. Like they run the floor. Harden will play almost the whole game. I never see him take a seat ever. No. I don't watch a ton of Rockets games when they're not playing my teams, but I mean, the LeBron needs his rest. LeBron will get his rest. But at that same point, like we don't have the bench guys to withhold. He can't go sit the last 5 minutes of a quarter. Like that's just not going to happen.
No.
Our plus minus when he's off the floor is stupid, even with just AD on.
It doesn't help that they rely on him for the defense as well. It's not like a Harden where you just put him on there and say go score 45.
Yeah, and then the thing about LeBron's D is like he gets shit talked a lot for it, but at the same time he's running the point. He pretty much calls the offense. He has the ball in his hand more than anyone else on the floor, so he gets tired, right? And he'll have those possessions where he pins a guy against the boards, like in the Raptors game.
I sent that to you.
He DM'd me, and I was like, fuck, that's awesome. Like, I obviously saw it live.
He let Lowry walk right by him. Didn't even make an effort because he knew that he was going to go up for the lay, and he was just, boop, mine. Let's go play offense.
Right off the backboard. So, like, that's the thing is LeBron shows shades of that, and he could do that every possession, but at the same time, it would affect him on the other end on offense, right? So, I think a lot of the shit he gets is on that front just because he knows for him to be playing the whole playoffs, make sure he's not injured. Like he can't just go hard 100% every single time. And he's going to play insane minutes no matter how old he is because we need him. So as I said earlier, if the Lakers had the luxury the Raptors did, it'd be a different story. But I think the Raps are going to be great to watch in this bubble format.
Yeah.
I think they have a real shot this year.
I have to take back what I said almost after having watched them a little bit now.
Would you say it was incriminating?
Last time we were on.
It's okay. It can't be worse than me going 0-3 on my bets publicly. So
no, I said that the Raps don't have a chance in the East. It's going to be somebody completely random. It's going to be the Bucks going in or the Sixers going in. They're still going to get walked on. I think I have to kind of retract that a little bit and say that the Raptors could be a bigger threat than I initially thought.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. But looking at the Bucks, you just mentioned them, right?
Yep.
They lost last night to the Suns.
Like ugly lost.
They lost.
Yeah.
Devin Booker, game winner. Did you see the game winner?
I saw him laying down, just enjoying himself.
Did you see?
But they sat Giannis, didn't they?
I'm not sure. I didn't watch the game.
Yeah,
I was in the office.
I think that there was some big thing. He was having a tough time.
Did he not play? Okay, that would explain it.
Whether it was attitude or his actual game, I'm pretty sure that he actually ended up getting benched.
Did he? He did not. I'm looking right now. I'm trying to find if he played last night. But if he did,
he played.
He played, but didn't. Yeah. He got benched.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he didn't finish the game. I think something like that. I'm not sure when he went out, but there was. Yeah, he was having a tough time.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would make sense. If he didn't play, I wouldn't even be bringing this up. I didn't know that. But if he played, it's still like.
But still, it's the Suns.
How many would they have like? They're under 500 and some. Like they're donating losses. Like they take so many L's. That shot by Devin Booker, did you see how many guys were on him? He had...
Well, who was it? Who was on his hand when he took that shot? Defender had hand on ball when he took that shot. It shouldn't go in.
Oh my God, I'm mixing up the teams. Devin Booker hit the game winner over the Clippers.
The Clippers. It was Paul George.
Oh my gosh. I apologize to our listeners. I had a long day today. It was over Paul George. I saw the video. I was like... It wasn't Giannis that had the hand in his face. It was Paul George, which is arguably worse. I would say the Clippers, Well,
Paul George is a defensive genius.
Looking at it, now that I fucked up and now that I realize it's the Clippers, I think it's almost a worse loss at the Clippers. Like right now, the Clippers took the L to the Lakers. They also took the L now to the Suns. The Suns are shit. Like that, they see the Suns a bunch too because they're in the same division. So that's a big loss now that I'm seeing that. Like I just don't think that not Giannis. I keep bringing
that's
up,
a little bit of a toss-up that we got going there now. Giannis versus
no, but
versus
it's
George.
worse. I'm looking at it from this way. Like, did Kawhi play last night? I think so, right?
I didn't
sure.
watch that game.
Okay, but anyways, the Clippers losing is worse than the Bucks losing to them.
Kawhi
Just
played
because
last
the
night. He
Clippers-
didn't do anything crazy.
The Clippers see them. The Clippers see them a bunch of times a year. Like, and now in this format, like these wins are big for seeding purposes. So
Yeah.
that loss is bad. I'm a Lakers fan, so I'm cheering that on. It's a shame I didn't know that was the matchup. But looking
Yeah.
at it from this point of view, I think.
When you were talking about the shot, I was like, I know the defender on that got the hand on. I was like, that was George,
Well,
right?
I have my question here, which is, do we still think the Bucks are a clear-cut favorite to win the Eastern Conference? Because I thought the Bucks lost to the Suns.
Oops.
But looking at it from that perspective, the Bucks still have a great chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did they play last night? I'm gonna look it up right now.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Did they play? Who did they play? They beat the. Do you know the Bucks played last night?
Say Suns again, I dare you.
The Nets?
Oh, they didn't play last night then. They played the Rockets. They lost to the Rockets. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
They lost to the Rockets. Okay, that's a big loss. James Harden.
A little bit better than the Suns,
yes,
but
definitely better. But that was validating my earlier point about the Rockets being a hot team in the bubble.
Yeah.
Playing that small ball lineup, Bucks are a bigger team. They ran the floor on them. They were down.
what was the score? Do you have it?
It was 120 to 116.
Okay,
and it was
so
a
at least it
comeback.
was close.
'Cause, yeah, the Rockets came back. It was, they outscored them in the fourth and ended up winning, which was crazy.
Yeah, okay.
I think Harden, he has the clutch gene. He did it against the Warriors last year, that step back
Yep.
game winner 3. But I think we'll see a lot of James Harden, heavy James Harden in the playoffs. He's going to shoot the ball like crazy. And when he'll have those games where he shoots 30% and takes more jumpers than anyone else by 2 times. But if he keeps shooting consistently like this, I think they're going to be top 3. They're going to give the Lakers a run for the money. They already gave the Clippers a run for the money. They're going to be tough. So looking at it from that perspective, I think the playoffs in general are going to be sick. And I don't think we can look at previous season trends, you could say, just because it's a new environment. Teams are, fighting for their lives right now, the bottom parts too. Like, that's why the Mavericks are going crazy. Like, it's a toss-up right now. The top 4, but the bottom 4 is going to be a shuffle.
I
They
don't.
played the Nets yesterday, by the way.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, the Bucks lost 119 to 116.
It was a big deal.
They played
Giannis
the
had
Rockets
a
on Sunday.
garbage turnout for some reason or another. I didn't look too
my
much
God.
into it.
Okay, so I mixed up the games. Sorry to our listeners. The Brooklyn Nets beat the Bucks. That is bad too. They have everyone opting out. So we have 2 games. Clippers losing to the Suns, which is huge.
Yep.
You have the Bucks losing to the Nets. Those are
Nets are playing for their lives.
2 top teams pretty much in both conferences that took bad L's last night.
Yeah.
I would say, what's the worst L to you? The Bucks losing to the Nets or the Suns beating the Clippers? I would say the Suns, just because the Suns are shit. But the Nets, if I'm not mistaken, have a lot of opt-outs.
The Nets have a lot of opt-outs, and I think last night they even had like 3 of their starting players out of the lineup. Jared Allen wasn't playing. LeVert was out.
Were they not? Okay, that would
That's a bad loss. They should not lose to the Nets on a night like that.
Timothy Luol Cabrat had 26 points for the Nets last night. So that's
Next man up.
Yeah, they literally go out against the Bucks. So the Bucks must have just had. Oh my God, I have to answer this call. I literally have to answer this call. Keep it rolling. I'll literally come right back. This is so
Okay.
Brian.
Well,
So they played the Nets last night, though.
the
Rockets
Bucks
game was Sunday. It's when.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know. I don't know
Wednesday
what
today.
he's talking about there. I wish I could just take his computer. I can run with this on my own.
Run it, boy. What were you watching today before?
They just started the Islanders game. I'm a big hockey guy. So you'll see me anytime that I'm on, I'm probably making a comment about hockey, right? So we'll get to that in a little bit. But Islanders and Panthers were on. I really want to wait for Sandy to ask me this question as to who's going to win this series. I don't know who's winning right now. I think they went 1-1 out of the first. Islanders are going to come back, win that
Right
series.
now, the Panthers are 3.
Panthers are up right now?
Yeah, they're up 2.
Okay.
Islanders have 1. Panthers are 3.
Okay. Well, that's a 2-0 series right now for the Islanders. I don't think there's any chance that they don't win that. But going forward, I know that there's a lot that he's going to ask about the other series. While we have this time, actually, that Sandy's not here, I do need to make an apology from the weekend edition that we did.
Okay.
So we were talking about the play-in series for the NHL.
Yeah.
And how that runs. And Sandy was asking me what the format was, and I said that there was 6 teams that didn't make the cut to be in the play-in round. I goofed on that. Apologies to my Anaheim Ducks fans. There's actually 7 teams out, so I goofed on that. So apologies there. But the Ducks suck. I don't know if they're going to have any. Well, actually, we got a lot of Californians tuning in. I don't know, man. What did I just do?
You're fine. That's okay.
So yeah, 7 teams out, 4 series on each side, East versus West, and they're underway right now. A lot of big upsets.
I am back and better than fucking ever, though. We're rolling. Let's keep talking about the NBA.
Are you allowed to say why or no?
No, not yet. We cannot disclose why yet, but
Okay.
Let's finish by talking about Devin Booker's game winner against the Clippers, not the Bucks. Do you think that the Clippers, they took 2 L's in the bubble, do you think that's going to affect them going forward, or do you think they keep it consistent?
I don't know if they're given everything they got right now in the bubble. I think they're pretty well solidified into what they can expect going into the postseason, that they're letting it ride, don't get injured, let's just get to the playoffs because we're going to make it anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the same kind of mindset. And you saw Kawhi last year with the Raptors. Like, they didn't want to they didn't need to win the regular season.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get in the playoffs.
The regular season.
And they knew at that point. and they knew at that point that they could just, get right into it. And at that point, they'd have their full team ready to go, healthy, everyone energized. So I think we'll see something similar with the Clippers, which kind of worries me because the Lakers are not resting.
Yeah, I
But
know.
LeBron's gassing and he's putting his 110% effort into it and all that shit. So
He's got his own name on his jersey. He has to.
Yeah, you see, and it's interesting to see the names. Like, some guys have names on the bottom and then the social justice stuff up top. It's it's kind of cool. NBA has kind of done that, but it's weird to see some on the bottom, some on the top.
It's tough watching if you're not like an actual like diehard fan. You're like, who the hell is
like,
that
did someone
guy?
make an error with the uniforms or something? But yeah, it's funny to see, and I think it's good. NBA is probably one of the most polarizing leagues with that stuff, and I think they do a good job tackling that stuff. So, looking at the Lakers one more time before we leave the NBA, they clinched the first seed in the Western Conference. Nobody in their right mind. LeBron went to the Eastern Conference Finals for 9 years in a row, I believe, or the finals for 9 years in a row. Everyone in the East and in the West, all the owners, LeBron can't do it in the West. It's too easy. The East is not as good. He's been doing it for too long. If he comes to the West, he will not do it. Yet, 2 years into his Western Conference stint, he did it. What do you have to say about that? Do you think he is going to celebrate this? Do you think he is the best player in the Western Conference or not?
Do I play that side of it where I say that LeBron comes into the West, all of a sudden the West gets weaker?
Oh,
where are the Warriors? They didn't even make it to the postseason play-in round, whatever they're doing, whatever they're calling.
I think they were injured. Obviously, they had the Clay injury, and then Kevin left. But it was just Steph, and Steph kind of like had that phantom injury that he just missed a couple months for. But
he just didn't want to. He didn't want to be exposed as to playing with the Warriors and not being able to win with his supporting cast.
And that's what I'm saying is because this is my point. You're making it perfect. Okay. You're painting the picture. The Warriors all these years, they had like a barrage of talent. Like Steph was great. I'm not taking anything away from him, but
they did it without KD.
People who think like Steph, oh my God, MVP, like better than LeBron when that debate was going. Steph had everyone behind him. He had Iguodala as a role player. Like
that's true.
All those role players. LeBron had J.R. Smith in Cleveland. He had he took like literally the worst team ever in Cleveland to the finals, and they got beat up by the Warriors. And then everyone's like, LeBron can't do it. LeBron's like getting older. Meanwhile, Steph Curry has like 3 All-Stars, arguably 4 All-Stars, and they have a role players. They had Livingston, they had Iguodala. Like those guys are gritty as hell.
I had no idea that Livingston a couple years back almost lost his leg. I saw that on Instagram like yesterday.
Oh my God, he tore his ACL. I don't know. It was like ACL, MCL. I think it was every.
I was telling my girlfriend like literally yesterday. Like I did not have the respect for this man, and then I read that I was like, that's incredible. Anyway,
I just I don't. I just saw the haters. For me, I was the biggest LeBron hater for a long time. Like before he came to Lakers, I did not like him. I've been a Kobe guy through and through, but looking at LeBron in the Lakers uniform, I think he's the GOAT. I always thought he was, but I always had some hatred for him. Now I obviously love him playing for my team. It's good to see him come to the West and finally get there because last year it wasn't looking great. Like they didn't make the playoffs. If they didn't sign someone this
he looked tired.
Yeah, he looked like he was over it. I'm worried LeBron wants to leave now. He's going to trade everyone. He's going to leave. Like we're going to be screwed.
He's going to trade everyone.
No, he fired the coach in Cleveland. Remember that David Blatt? Like he got that guy right out of town. So I think LeBron, kind of has his hand in the front office, obviously with the Lakers moves. I mean, they signed JR and Dion.
He's got more money than anybody in the front office.
But I'm saying like Dion and like JR signing, LeBron was obviously a proponent of that signing, right? I'm sure he was shopping that to the buses and, Pelinka and all the ownership. But, I think looking forward, it's nice to see LeBron do it in the West. I think it's great. It's definitely a harder conference. The East is not even close to
No,
the West.
you're right. You're right.
Still, you got teams like the Mavs, the Rockets we talked about earlier,
Yep.
but it's going to be cool to see. I don't think it's a lock that he makes it to the finals this year. And
No.
I don't think it is at all, but the first seed in the West.
He needs everything to go right
I
for
know
him.
he does. He does. And he needs no injuries, like
Yeah.
as we said. But I know it's the COVID NBA season, and people might throw an asterisk on that. But the Lakers got the first seed, and that's as a fan that's watched the Lakers for the last decade, they didn't make the playoffs for almost 7 or 8 years. I think it's going on year 8 now, if I'm not mistaken. Now they're finally in. It feels great to be back. Is all I got to say. I've been hearing shit about LeBron.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, Raptors win one finals, and now everyone's shooting fucking shit at me over here. But
We've only got so many more weeks to be defending champions if we
my
can't do it
God.
again. So we gotta ride it.
I just want to say this right now. I have people on both sides. I have Raptors diehards.
Yeah.
I have my Lakers friends who are just diehards. I would pay a ton of money to watch the Lakers and Raptors face off in the finals, and I hope we see it. I don't know though. We got to see. I don't know. The Bucks could do it to them. I don't think they're not as deep as the Raptors, but they got Giannis, they got Middleton, they
got
got
an
some
MVP.
they got some beasts over there. So we'll see. But I would pay a substantial amount of money for the finals to be Lakers Raptors. Let's just say that.
You'd lose a substantial amount of money afterwards trying to bet on the Lakers. But anyway, go forward.
I'm gonna have to reevaluate my gambling strategy after that 0-3 day last week. So looking at the finals, speaking of betting, let's discuss who are the favorites to win the NBA championship this year. I got them pulled up in front of me. Lakers are not the favorite. I checked this morning. The Bucks are now
the
the favorites.
favorite?
Everyone's odds are different across the board, but based off the book that I go through, the Bucks are plus 250 as the favorites to win. The Lakers are plus 255, which is just a fraction less of a favorite. And then the Clippers are plus 300, Raptors plus 1,000,
Really?
plus 1,000, and then the Rockets are plus 1,250. Do you see value? All I gotta say is, do you see value in those lower teams like the Raptors? I would sprinkle on that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
I mean, I wouldn't do. To be honest, I wouldn't do the Rockets. I don't think the Rockets are going to win the finals, and I think those odds could be better for them. But how are you going to put the Raptors, who just beat the favorites in the West, but beat them bad, and you're going to put them at plus 1,000? The Lakers are plus 250.
I'm willing to bet that the Raptors' odds were worse last season. Maybe
they were.
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
I'm not sure, but it was close. I'm just saying.
Just can't disrespect.
I think they're worse this year just because they don't have Kawhi. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were last year, but
Now throw this out for me, just because I think it could end up being a dark horse. They're 3-0 since they came back. What are the Pacers at?
You're smoking.
I'm just curious. I looked at it this morning.
Okay, so the Raptors are at plus 1,000.
Yeah.
The Pacers are at plus 15,000.
Okay, I just wanted to know. to know.
But at the same time, there's some value there. If you're really confident, throw a couple bucks on.
They haven't lost yet.
Let it ride.
Coming back, they haven't
Hey,
lost.
Bubble format. We talked about this, and I want to hit on this again. There's no home court in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the teams like the Raptors, or not even the Raptors, the teams like the Nuggets, the Mavericks, the Heat, the Jazz, on the brink of in the playoffs, you know what I mean? They're not the top teams. Do you think they have a better chance that they get to play in the bubble with no fans than they do at a home?
I think this is the year for upsets if we're gonna see it.
And you've been saying this whole time. You think it's going to be someone that we don't think
It's going to be something. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the trends have been kind of proving that point a little bit.
It usually is for playoffs. I mean, NBA is a little bit different. I watch a lot of hockey. Underdogs are big. Underdogs aren't even underdogs anymore.
I know. And hockey, I feel like if you bet underdogs, if you took like every underdog in hockey, I feel like you just make money just based off underdogs winning more frequently. Yeah. But in NBA, I feel like it's not always like that.
No, NBA is a little bit more
cut
and
more
dry,
like
but
true to form, but the NHL, like we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the playoffs shortly, but I would take underdogs pretty much every time in the NHL just because I bet the Pens this weekend in the game one, they lost. Like I lost some good money. Mm-hmm. I've been on a cold streak, by the way. You guys have been following this podcast.
That's all you hear now.
Yeah. I'll turn it around though, nonetheless. But looking at teams like that, like I just don't, there's no like surefire locks. Like if the Lakers go play the Suns, like 9.5 point times out of 10, they're going to get the win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can assume that, right? But in hockey, I don't think there's anything like that.
Nothing.
Right?
No, it doesn't matter.
So speaking of hockey, how have you liked as a diehard NHL fan?
Yep.
I know the Senators are trash, but
well.
What do you think about the NHL format so far? And do you think what kind of environment do you think it like feels like watching for you?
I think that what we've seen so far is exactly why the NHL hasn't experienced 5-game series or haven't explored 5-game series in the past, We just watched Carolina take out the Rangers in 3 games, and it felt like it happened in 2 days. I didn't really like it. I didn't think they could get into much of a swing and much of a rivalry, but I guess that's what they have to do to kind of play into the actual playoffs themselves. I haven't been impressed by the qualifying round.
Really?
It's showing a lot of upsets, like we just talked about.
Yep.
I think it was game 1. You'd kind of asked me for my bets and who I was betting on, and I think I lost
Eastern or Western Conference.
I think we went just day 1, so it was kind of a mix. But I lost every single one.
This show, if you follow us and you're taking our bets, fade everything we say, and you'll make a ton of money doing it. You'll make a ton of money. But anyways, you were saying.
So I don't know. It's just like there's not enough rivalry going around, I don't think, in a 5-game series because these series are over in 3 games. So I think we'll see a lot of different things happen whenever we actually move into the first round of the playoffs. And then we can actually see some really hard hockey. And
you think it will?
really going at
so
it.
you think these qualifying rounds are kind of just like
I think
not
they're
the same?
I think they're a little soft.
Really?
Honestly.
I mean, I've seen the Leafs. For me, I've watched the Leafs both the games.
Yeah.
The first game was shit. As a Leafs fan, I didn't enjoy watching it. I'm pretty fair weather though. But the second game, they whooped them. Obviously, it was more enticing for me. But other than that, I haven't watched a full game. I'm here and there. I switch between. But you feel like it's not been the same kind of playoff feel for
the
you?
intensity, no. And I think it could come down to the fans.
Do you think
not being there?
What do you think about the fake noise? Because you said on the last episode
sounds
that the fake
better.
noise sounds good.
It sounds better in the NHL than it does in the other sports because of the fact that I think it just echoes
cheering,
more.
yeah.
But I'm starting to kind of realize that you can't substitute that NHL level excitement whenever something big happens.
Like I've been to the games and I know I was up on my feet 75% of the time at least. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I wasn't up on my feet, there's people yelling around me the whole time.
And they're
right?
pretty conservative with that piped in noise too. They're not really cranking it like they can. So
especially if there's like a home ice. I don't know how big is home ice? We talked about NBA home floor. Is it matter?
It doesn't. It's not a thing really.
It's not like NBA. It's not like NFL.
No.
Those are the big, like I would say.
Oh wait, you mean in like normal?
Like normal
format.
format.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
that's
Oh no,
huge.
sorry,
Yeah,
that's
I was
huge.
gonna say, like,
I thought you meant in the bubble. I was like,
home ice
doesn't matter.
It's big in every sport, but I would say like NFL is probably the most influential with home field just because it's one game, like the crowd, like when you're calling your plays and stuff. I don't know hockey as well, so I don't know how that plays in. I'm sure it affects it big time.
The hockey, and it's been the last couple of years that I found this, their pregame like entertainment gets everyone so rallied up and pumped up that it's actually sick. Like you even get pumped up watching it on TV.
Yeah.
If you're a diehard fan like me, like I watch that, everyone's swinging their towels, everyone's screaming, there's smoke and fire everywhere. It's kind of dope.
That's sick. And so let's dive into some of these qualifying matchups. I know you say you haven't loved it so far, but let's start with the Eastern Conference. The Penguins versus the Canadiens. The series is tied at 1-1.
Yep.
First to 3 wins. Who do you think takes it between the two teams?
So when we talked last time, I said that I was going to take the Pens. No problem.
I'm writing this down so we can
Yeah,
go back.
no, write it down.
I'm
Write it
checking
down.
you on everything you say here.
I'm sticking with the Pens.
Okay.
I said specifically that if Montreal was going to pull it out, it was going to be Carey Price standing on his head. He did exactly that. Game 1, Montreal won 3-2. Carey Price had 39 saves. It was unbelievable. So he did exactly what I needed him to do for me to not look like an idiot.
Do you have him in fantasy?
No,
You don't?
I could never have a Montreal Canadian on a fantasy team. That'll never happen. I'll pick a Leaf, not a Canadian.
That's funny.
So I'm sticking with the Pens.
Sticking with the Pengs. Okay, so the Pens over the Canadiens.
Yeah, because
they're 1-1. So you think it's big game coming up? I don't know if they play today.
Montreal or Carey Price will steal you a game. He won't steal you a series.
Okay, so
And
you
I'm gonna
think
stick to that.
you're going to attribute the win the Canadiens got to Carey Price's performance?
You have to. If you watch the game, if you look at the stats, that's why. 100%.
Got it. So you're taking the Pens.
Still.
Okay, next game in the Eastern Conference. Hurricanes versus Rangers. The Hurricanes won the series 3-0.
Yep.
Did you pick that?
I picked the Rangers. But okay, I think I'm going to do well.
0 for 2, folks.
I think I'm going to do well for the going forward with the other ones. I did not see the Canes coming out against the Rangers as strong as they did.
3-0. That's a beat. I mean,
It
that's a
was
fucking
not
beat
pretty,
down.
and it all came down to the Canes' top scorers. It was Svechnikov and Sebastian Aho. They went nuts.
I saw that nasty goal he had.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was the last game or the game before, but
I think it was the last game.
it was last
Yeah,
game, and he
it was
just
like a toe
deked
drag.
the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, toe drag.
That was
action.
last
It
game.
was fire.
But the Rangers went in there with the King Lundqvist.
Are they not? Are the Rangers shit?
No, they're
I
they're
remember
not.
watching them because when we did our test drafts throughout this year before COVID hit, I remember having a lot of Rangers players. I don't know, like.
Well,
I remember them being
Zibanejad
decent.
going into the
he's a
break,
beast.
he was the hottest player in the league.
Yeah.
And Panarin, his
Panarin, yeah. I know Panarin.
his sidekick,
Is he wear number
basically.
10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is in the running for league MVP. Like, they should not have been out
was
first
it like
round.
a breakdown in net, or was it more just like they were just playing like shit for the 3 games?
I don't even think they played that bad. Carolina
got
played
beat. They
out
just
of their
played better.
minds. Yeah,
That's
honestly.
happens. So those Rangers fans, fuck, they must be bummed. Are they done? Right?
They're done. That's it. They're eliminated.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I remember them being a competitor. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
I don't know a ton of hockey, but anyways, let's jump to the next game. 3-0. That's ugly. Islanders versus Panthers. Islanders lead 2-0.
Yep.
What did you pick there? Do you remember?
So I still went Islanders. I went
So you're good.
Islanders,
So
so,
there
I'm
you
good
go.
for that one.
There you go, folks.
They're
That's
playing
one.
right now. Islanders are down 3-1 last we checked.
They are. Eddie, can you mind checking that right now?
And you know what? I think that's fine. I think that's fine. The
mean,
Panthers can go in there, take a game. I don't care. They're not going to win the series.
Did you say Islanders are up 3-1 or
No. Panthers are up 3-1.
Oh.
Panthers were up 3-1. They just finished 2-3.
Okay,
Panthers
so
won.
game
So
over.
2-1 now in the series.
I think that's fine.
You're still confident.
Yeah,
you're taking the Islanders.
I mean,
I think that's a good pick.
You see that a lot in hockey.
You just don't see sweeps like that.
You see sweeps, but like oftentimes when two teams are that closely matched,
Yeah.
you're not going out on the first chance you get. There's
For
not
sure.
yeah. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Florida came back, stood on their heads and took a game. I don't think that turns into a trend though. I think the Islanders still take that.
For sure. Okay, so let's jump to the last matchup in the Eastern Conference for the play-in. Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Blue Jackets. Series tied at 1-1. He's a Senators fan, so take that into account. Who takes it? No bias aside.
No bias. I want to say that the Leafs take it. They lost. Columbus lost the last game, but it didn't look that bad. It was not that bad of a game, and the Leafs lost Muzzin. Looks like it's going to be ugly. He's out for the entire series.
Shit. Like for sure he's out.
Yeah, head or neck. They took him out on the stretcher.
Yikes.
He was down on the ice for what, like probably a solid 10 minutes.
They got shut out yesterday.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't that ugly though.
Okay.
It wasn't that ugly.
Eddie, are you taking the Leafs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the Leafs just because I'm a hometown guy.
Yeah.
That's
but
the only reason.
I
grew up
just-
here.
I just like don't watch enough of the Leafs this year. I
just
went to
can't
a few
sit.
games. I just want to see them win. Like the Bruins losing
Yeah.
the Bruins a couple years in a row. I can't stand that shit. I hate Boston fans.
I would
So wanna
pay
see the Leafs
so
do well.
much money to see Spezza hoist a cup. Ex-senator, probably have no idea who he is. One of my favorite players of all time. 38 years old, I think, or something like
Still
that. He
doing it?
deserves it. He plays for the Leafs. I wasn't too big on that decision, but I wouldn't be pissed to see the Leafs win this year because I need to see a Spezza hoist.
Okay, so you're taking the Leafs. I'm writing this down.
Yeah, I'll take the Leafs.
Leafs asterisk just because you.
Leafs
Leafs asterisk. You'll take them, but you're not as confident.
Leafs because I need to.
Okay, so that's the Eastern Conference plans.
Yeah.
Let's talk Western Conference. Oilers versus the Blackhawks. Series tied at 1.
Yep.
Who did you pick, and who do you like to finish it off?
So I originally took Edmonton.
Okay.
They got bombed in their first game.
And they came
Wasn't
back and
even. Yeah. No. They lost the
second
first
game. I'm
game.
saying they came back the
Oh
second
yes.
one.
Yeah. I think Edmonton still takes it. They won the first game. Kubalik went off 5 points. That doesn't happen again. He didn't get anything in the last game. So I don't think that. I think that was an outlier performance by Chicago. I think Edmonton still walks in there, takes it. McDavid's unreal.
He had a
Dreisaitl's
s-
underrated.
He had a fucking crazy goal.
It's a crazy goal every time he plays. Yeah.
He skated around. He was.
Yeah.
I've never seen a guy skate so fast. I mean, that was insane. Literally just
won't,
went
yeah.
around. Didn't get touched. Backhand. Top
that's
shelf.
you see that every night. Every night he
I don't
plays.
watch
That's
enough
what
of them, but that
you
was
have to. Yeah.
that was a spectacle in itself for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
We actually posted on our Instagram this morning about that goal.
Did you?
We did Aho's goal, and then
Okay.
we did McDavid's like insane wraparound backhand
Mm-hmm. And
top shelf.
people aren't surprised by that kind of thing anymore from McDavid. That's what you see every night. You'll continue to see that. Edmonton will win the series.
Got it. That is noted, folks. Edmonton will win the series. Dev's put his name on it. Next, Predators versus Coyotes. Series tied at 1.
Series tied at 1.
Who did you pick? Do you remember?
Preds.
Preds. Who do you like to take it now when it's tied?
I'm gonna stick with it still.
Okay, sticking with the Preds.
Yep.
I like that you're not switching up these picks.
No,
that's a real stand-up guy you are. Right
Yeah,
now. I like
yeah.
that.
I mean,
they're
it's,
playing right now, and the Coyotes are up 1.
Well, what,
Doesn't
first
matter.
period? Oh, we got
13 minutes left of the first period.
Yeah, we're getting our feet wet, baby.
Fuck off,
He can't switch it up though. He's not allowed to switch it up. He picked it.
No. I'm taking the Preds. There's too much firepower on that team. Arvidsson's picking it up. You see that in his last game. And that's exactly what they're going to need going forward. They have too much goal scoring power on that team to lose to a team like the Coyotes.
I don't know much about the Coyotes, but I know they're not as good as the
No, they
Predators.
no.
Sorry.
That should be a series that the Predators should be able to pull together and take a win for. Their defense is great. Their goaltending is above average, and their goal scoring on a night in night out basis is also above average. So I mean, I think that I'm going to stick with the
Preds.
Preds.
Are taking it. All right, good. Yeah. So let's jump to the next one. We got the Canucks versus the Wild. Series tied at 1. Who'd you pick? Who do you like?
Heartbroken on this one. I honestly, if I'm betting with my heart rather than my brain, I don't know what to do.
Get with your brain for this, for the case of this podcast. Who do you
for the
think
sake of the
takes
podcast,
Yes.
staying alive,
Yeah.
bet with your head. I think Vancouver takes it.
Okay. Did you pick them originally? I don't remember.
I think I did.
Okay, so you're sticking true. There you go.
Staying on the Canadian side of things. Minnesota, I really am one of the biggest fans of Kevin Fiala, so I really want to see them do well. And he's on fire. Pick him up if you can.
Do you have him in your league or something, or is that why you're
I
selling
would,
him?
yeah. I missed out on him.
Did you?
But there was actually, before we went down last season when JB was showing me the system, we had a 2-man league. You're picking what, like 10 guys on offense?
Yep, 10 guys.
Less than that.
No, less. There's 2
Yeah.
goalies, so 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Picked up Fiala, and so that he's not going to make your top 10. Killed it, beat him. Watch it, JB. You'll relive this.
We'll timestamp this for JB so you can see it after the fact.
So no.
So you got the Nucks. Got the Nucks.
I'm gonna take the Nucks. Yeah, there's just too much youth, too much power on that team.
Perfect. All right, let's wrap it up with the last matchup. We got the Flames
This is
versus the Jets. Flames lead 2-1, if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken. Did you pick the Jets or the Flames? I don't remember.
I picked the Jets. I am switching my bet.
Oh,
I have. There's so much rationale to this.
In the qualifying
There's
round,
so
and you
much
switched it
rationale
up.
to this.
All right, break it down for me.
Game 1, first period, the Jets lose Mark Scheifele and Patrick Laine. Not sure if they're going to be back.
Did they not play after the fact? Like
No. Like Scheifele, they're wondering whether or not he's cut his Achilles or his calf or something like
that's
that.
Terrible.
So yeah, ugly play. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
But he's their best player. He's their number 1 center. Patrick Laine, sniper, young guy. They need somebody like that to score them some goals in the playoffs, and both of them aren't there right now.
Interesting. So is that the main reason you're switching up your pick?
Well, I originally bet on them because of their goaltending, but I think that this is kind of bigger than that because you can tend the net all you want, but if you can't score goals on the other
That's
end,
true.
you're not going to win.
More in your, and the puck will be in your defensive half
Yeah.
more often.
So this
than not,
is almost a default switch. I think everyone's switched to Calgary on this one right now.
So they lead. Do they play today, Eddie? Do you see the schedule up?
They don't play today.
So tomorrow, I'm
They're
assuming.
playing tomorrow at 10:30.
Yeah, they played yesterday. Calgary took that one pretty handedly. Yeah, pretty handedly.
Jeez. So yeah, it's looking like Calgary. So I'm gonna note that we're switching up.
Yeah, I gotta take the switch on that one.
Okay, good. So that covers the play-in games. Before we end the episode, I want to get some insight on who you think takes the Stanley Cup this year in the bubble. Go.
I think it's going to be Boston that turns around. They did not do well in their first game, and I said that they were going to win that game. They lost to Philly. I think they turn it around just because of what they do have on that team. They went to the finals last year, lost in Game 7. It was ugly. They have that on their shoulder, and they don't want that to happen
So
again.
you think they're the Bruins? You're taking the Bruins on a revenge tour this year.
If I'm putting money on it, I'm taking the Bruins on
If
a
you-
revenge tour.
Okay, so let me ask it in a different lens.
Okay.
Who would you like to see? Like, don't give me some bullshit team that would never make it.
Okay.
Like, who has a good chance to make it, and who would you like to see win it?
Who would I like to see win it?
Your team's out of it, so I'm
yeah.
have someone. You
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
team, but
I think you don't want some bullshit team. I want to say that the Islanders actually could be really interesting. They're doing really well in their series. Barry Trotz is an incredible coach. He won it with the Ovechkin and the Capitals a couple of years back. So I think coaching in the playoffs and strategy goes a long way. So I want to say that the Islanders could take it. I don't think that they have the odds on their side.
yeah,
Carolina looks hot, but I don't think that they continue that.
you're sticking. But you think your surefire pick, if you had to put money on it, would be the Bruins.
It's got to be the Bruins, honestly. If I don't want to risk looking like an idiot because everyone's taking the Bruins. Yeah. Colorado looks really hot too. They've got a lot of really young guys. Their goaltending is decent. I think Colorado could be interesting in there. And Pittsburgh. Honestly, I'm still on that Pittsburgh train.
Still buzzing, huh?
Well,
they're still going strong. I feel like they've been in contention for like a decade.
That
now,
team
right?
is exactly,
like,
and they
I don't
only
watch a ton of hockey. I just still know that
they swap up everybody except for Crosby and Malkin, and I think that they could just be another swan song. That's a dynasty that'll go down in history.
I mean, they already will go down in history.
They will.
Right?
They're
how old is Malkin? How old is
Crosby? I think will be 32. Or 31.
Really? I feel like he would be way older. I feel like he
started when he was 18.
17 or 18.
Yeah, 17, 18.
Hockey's like that. Like you
right
don't see that in the NBA as much, even though they're getting younger now.
Yeah,
but
Malkin will be about a year younger than him, so they're not young players
Crosby's
anymore.
32.
Nailed it.
Malkin's 34.
Oh
what?
Shit! What's like the cap?
Yeah, Malkin went drafted first.
What is the cap on like pretty much like Tom Brady's in his 40s playing? Like that's an anomaly. Like people just don't do that. Like what would you say?
That 40 number is kind of like if you're 40,
it's
kind of works.
What was Chara? How old?
Chara's like 42 now. He's still playing.
He's over 40. That's what I'm saying. Like is he like?
That's not common.
Anomaly?
That's not common.
Exactly.
40, 43.
Holy shit! He's still doing it, huh?
Yeah.
Still lacing him up every night. Doing it. He's also a body though.
You see players getting into like their late 30s, 36, 37, and then they start signing league minimum deals just to stay in the league and stay relevant and see if they can come out of their career with a cup. I think we're just like most sports. We're going to see a lot more early retirements just because of head injuries and
there's way more like transparency with injuries now.
Exactly. So
back in the day in football, you got a head injury. Like, get the fuck back.
So many guys are stoked to be able to opt out of this season just because they need a year off.
Oh, it's nice for the older guys too. Like you see in the NFL, like you see a lot of the vets just opting out. Like screw it. Like I don't want to play some COVID season. Like I'll just take a rest for the year, and then obviously they're sacrificing pay. But at that point, the veterans have already made their money, right?
Yeah. So drawing back, I think Pittsburgh. These guys they're not getting any younger. They play the game to win, so I think they will win. They'll go far. I'm not sure if they'll win, but I think they could be a real deep sleeper.
Pittsburgh Bruins, those are your two, the top.
Those are my two in the East. Colorado, I think, is going to take it out in the West.
All right, so mark that down, Eddie. We're going to loop that back in. We're going to come back in a month or so.
I'm a lot more confident than I should have been the last time around.
I don't have predictions because I don't watch enough hockey, but I'm going to ride with him. I'll do Bruins, and I will do Penguins. I think the Penguins are a sick team.
Go ask JB. He'll take somebody stupid
JB
like
can
Chicago.
make my picks for me. But anyways, Dev, it was a great time speaking with you today.
Yeah.
Talked NBA. We talked NHL bubble playoff format so far. Great conversation. Looking forward to another one.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Cheers, baby. Thanks for listening. If you haven't done so already, make sure to scroll down to like, comment, and subscribe. Tune in Tuesday.